simply as a currency substitute.
So we will show you two pictures. So they may be in around June or
fundamentals in general. So blockchain,
Alright, thank you, Tony.
All the problems that it intends to address, and
by the way, thank you
potential
to Henry of
benefits.
Features
So
for supporting the Satoshis for our trivia. Ayun. Welcome to the BitPinas Webcast, an online show where we interview the people who move the crypto industry forward. So maraming salamat sa mga nagbabalik natin mga attendees, mga watchers, because we were gone for around 2 weeks in preparation for our event last week, which we will play a bit later. So before everything else, this is a very special webcast episode, and that's why we have a lot of prizes actually for those who are going to tune in tonight. First of all, may 2 tickets, or 1 ticket each for 2 winners for the upcoming YGG Web3 Games Summit. And then there will be 3 winners of 1 Anito each. So you can start playing Anito Legends. Ang mananalo po ng dalawang yon, yung winner ng ticket at ng mga Anito, ay yung mga magtatanong sa ating webcast right now. So doon pipiliin yung mga mananalo ng tickets at yung mga NFTs ng Anito Legends. And of course, we're going to still have 6 winners of 50k Satoshis, 50,000 Satoshis courtesy of BitShares Labs, so our sponsor. So to win itong mga Satoshis na ito, 4 winners will be chosen again do sa ating trivia Q&A, and then 2 winners na naman sa ating comment section. You must have a follower badge and a sharer badge, meaning you must be following the BitPinas page and have shared the live stream publicly. So may iba nag-share naman, parang last time, sabi nag-share sila, hindi naman lumabas. Baka kasi hindi public yung pagkaka-share nyo, baka yung na-share nyo sa feed nyo is parang limited lang to your friends, ganyan. Dapat public siya, pag-share nyo para magkaroon kayo ng sharer badge. Alright? So, I would like to introduce first yung video natin kanina. Ang ating intro video ay produced by BitShares Labs, which help businesses establish their digital presence online. So this is one of the things that they do. They provide support to creators. In our case, they support this webcast through the price and the video. Because sabi nga ni BitPinas, if you are going to do, the BitShares, if you're going to do content creation, you do not actually need to do it alone. So for any inquiries, you reach out to BitShares Labs sa Facebook, facebook.com/BitShares Labs for inquiries. So, ayun. Now, before we proceed, our weekly viewers can remember that we organized an event called Cryptopia Conversations last week, with crypto thought leader Luis Buenaventura. I would like to say thank you to everyone who were present at the event. Yung ilan sa kanila, message ko to be here at this particular webcast because we are going to show yung parang highlight video ng particular event na yon. So, for those who were at the event and for those who do not make it, we are proud to present to you this highlight video of Cryptopia Conversations.
GM naman dyan, GM. And welcome to our Cryptopia Conversations with BitPinas. Ayan, palakpakan naman dyan.
Where it's not just your yet another crypto event. So in this event, we discuss yung baga real talk, questions that aren't being answered oftenly sa mga events.
I love going to IRL events, and I'm happy to have come to this one. despite the bear market. It was nice seeing everyone, and I really enjoyed listening to Luis's real talk.
A man that will answer your questions about cryptocurrency, blockchain, and Web3. Are you ready to welcome Mr. Luis Buenaventura?
Is blockchain necessary for the metaverse?
Paano kaya natin, sir, ma-integrate yung blockchain sa e-commerce? It doesn't always have to be in every industry. You just have a universal paying device in your, ideally here, no? With every new bull cycle, we grow. And typically, it's about 2 new cryptocurrencies are being introduced every day. I don't want to keep track of that. I don't think anyone does.
You know, before I got here, I just had one question. It's about cryptocurrency and how it's actually going to be used. But then I realized, oh, I'm living in a small bubble.
When it's a bear market, it's a little bit harder for us to find audiences. So I'm very, very grateful to everyone that's here right now for coming over. And I'm very happy that you all survived the second year of the bear market. So give yourselves a hand, please. Welcome to BitPinas!
BitPinas has been the forefront of crypto discussions in the Philippines.
And welcome to Cryptopia Conversations.
BitShares Labs is, of course, we started as a blockchain background. Kami lang nagbibigay ng mga back-end support sa mga blockchains ng BitShares.
I love going to IRL events, and I'm happy to have come to this one despite the bear market and telling us the things we need to hear.
Because everyone wants to hear about what the next big coin is that they can invest in. Because so many other projects are going from 1,000 to 0. It's also the largest in terms of how many trillions of dollars we've lost.
Napaka-informative, lalo na kay Sir Luis tsaka sa BitPinas. Nag-enjoy ako. Then may libre pang pagkain. Salamat sa BitPinas!
Meeting a lot of like-minded people, and I just want to say it feels good na people are answering questions. You're not the only one. People are asking about what do I invest in, what do I do, you know, so explain this. So it's nice to fill a room with, it's just innovation, and we're focusing on the technology rather than, you know, looking at the price action and all that, and driving the conversation towards innovations.
I enjoyed this event so much.
We all enjoyed, and we learned so much.
Congratulations to BitPinas, and thank you so much for this event.
I've learned so much tonight from the quality of the questions. They're very good, very thought-provoking. Of course, Luis had very no-holds-barred answers, so we really appreciated that. For organizing this, and BitPinas has been in the forefront talaga of doing all this. So, thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. Thanks everyone. Thank you.
Ayun. So, so napanood niyo yung ating highlight video ng ating Crypto PH event last week. Once again, thank you to Luis Buenaventura for helping us organize that event. Thank you to G Crypto, our event partner, BitShares for making it possible, and also to Titik Productions, who produced that video. And we intend to organize another crypto event very soon. So yun. So this is the first BitPinas webcast leading up to the YGG Web3 Games Summit. So YGG Web3 Games Summit is the Philippines premier Web3 event happening from November 18 to 25, kung tama ang And YGG is also looking forward to bringing its network and its community together. Merong 2-day conference, may 3-day expo, may 2-day tournament. So madaming mangyayari in a span of a week, and madami ding side activity. So to learn more, you can visit the YGG Web3 Games Summit first. So nalala natin, di ba, last year may parang Philippine Web3 Festival. And that was also because of what happened um, parang 2 years ago, 2020, 2021. Alam naman natin that the biggest driver of the bull run 2 years ago is actually Web3 games, di ba? But that was before, no? Bull run yun eh. And here we are now, which we know that the current market or the current market condition that we are in, although we think na baka market na ulit, we don't know. But what is it like to launch a Web3 game today, no? A blockchain game or an NFT game. So oftentimes kasi because we are not the founders, diba? We play those games. We actually do not think about these things, you know, how hard it is to actually do do or launch a game, and how do Web3 game founders actually navigate the expectations from the gamers, the token holders, if they have token, and also their investors. No? So without further ado, I would like to bring up on stage our guest for tonight, Jayvee Fernandez, the co-founder of Anito Legends, and Sangho Grolleman, the CEO of Cryptopia. So welcome to the show. Um, Ayan, live tayo, no? So, welcome to the show, GB and Sangho. Welcome to BitPinas Webcast. How are you guys doing right now?
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Michael, for
Sangho. And how
having
about you,
me.
JB?
Doing
Okay.
great. Thank you so much.
Yes. So we are going to start now, no? So before we go to the main proper discussion on how to launch Web3 games. So most of our attendees right now, or maybe some of our viewers might not know you. So we just want to ask you the first question. Like, what motivated you to move into the Web3 gaming space? And can you also tell us briefly about your games? Maybe we can start with JB for this.
Hello. So I'm an example of someone who discovered Web3 games during the pandemic. It's actually quite funny because by profession, I'm actually a journalist. And I've been so for about 20 years. I've been a journalist and a digital marketer. And sometime during the pandemic, I left my work because, it was such a crazy time. No, I had to, for personal reasons, I had to leave my work and focus on things here at home. And it was during this time, I was doing a podcast because, who else was really doing something at that time? I was doing a podcast with my now co-founder, James Chua, and another co-founder whose name is Jed, our creative director now, no? And I've known these guys for so long, probably 15 years. We've been playing video games online since the days of Guild Wars. So they've really been my pandemic buddies. They were the ones keeping me sane during this time. For quite some time now, we've been running a podcast about video games, and it so happened in one podcast we had Gabby Dizon as guest. I actually knew Gabby from way, way, way back. He was a colleague in Inquirer.net. Well, actually, back then it was still called INQ7. So for those of you who are not from the Philippines, it was one of the very first news websites in the country. And Gabby was actually contributing to a video game section, no? And that was actually quite innovative and new at that time because who would want to read reviews about video games? So long story short, Gabby was actually a guest in the podcast talking about this new concept called play and earn, play to earn, NFTs, and how the this is now driving a new sort of economy. It was very, very interesting because it was the first time I heard something like this. And I guess it it stuck. And many weeks later, James, Jed, and their other co-founder Eric, who actually have been working together for quite some time. They've been developing games on Android and iOS for about together they've been developing games for about maybe 10 years already. Um, they messaged me and said, "Hey, I know you left your work. Are you interested in joining this interesting project? Remember the thing that we talked about with Gabby? We're trying to do something similar." And they made me watch some documentaries on NFTs, gaming. And at that time, it was really a very innocent thing because who knew what would happen, right? So I had nothing better to do. I was really recuperating. I thought I had retired from journalism. So I said, yes, why not? I'm just home, something to do. At least I get to work with people I've known for quite some time. And that's how we started Anito Legends. This was around August 2021. They had already been prototyping the game back then. And when I joined, they had actually just about raised the seed round. And throughout August to November, we were able to um, raise a bit more. And then the bear market happens, right? And that was a very interesting time because it really hit us smack in the face that, wait, this might not be what we thought it was. But then we sallied on and said, look, this is really our core competence. Anito Legends is game number 22, but it's the very first blockchain game that we developed. And we decided to just let's go for it because we are no strangers to failure. We are no strangers to pressure and economic downfalls. We've been doing this for about I've been doing this for 2 decades. Same with my other co-founders. So we decided to just push forward. And today, Anito Legends, from being just an auto battler, it's now also an action RPG. And we do have some new features like a Discord moderating tool called Anito Race coming. And we're actually just about to be finished migrating to Polygon from BSC. It's like happening right now, Mike. Like literally right now. We're in the background, we're texting, hey, is it done? And I'm seeing like tokens being airdropped and the new NFTs being airdropped from BSC to Polygon. So it's actually quite exciting. Right. So yeah, that's the short history of the past 2 years of my life.
All right. So just to clarify, no, so you are originally at Binance Smart Chain, and now you
Yes.
are transferring to Polygon.
We
All
are
right.
95% on Polygon.
Wow.
So maybe by the end of this cast, we'll be on 100%. So it's a very
Okay.
interesting journey migrating.
All right. Thank you, JB, for that and for that clarification. And now we move to Sangho. Same question, Sangho. So, what motivated you to move into the Web3 gaming space? No, I'm sure in your LinkedIn you see that I'm looking at your profile earlier or yesterday. So, what motivated you to move into the Web3 gaming space? And very briefly, can you tell us briefly about your game?
Yes, yes, of course. So what motivated me is, in fact, well, I have to go back to 2007, 2008. I was at the dawn, or I experienced and witnessed the dawn of Web 2, so the social era. And I was really, really excited, like, okay, this is going to change the whole world. This is going to change all the problems in the world. And a bit naive, okay, I agree with that. I admit that. But I really thought if everyone can see everything around the globe, then, the mass can really get things changed and get things moving. But unfortunately, two things happened. One, the big corporates grabbed the internet, so they took over the internet, so the people became the products. And second, and that's the most important thing, the people didn't care. So people just signed away their rights, and they were only busy with making their own profile and their standing and liking stupid videos of cats and dogs and not caring about the inequality and the suffering and stuff like that. So I'm a pretty idealistic guy, so I really thought social media is really going to change all this. And now it turned out that we have a unique opportunity, a unique second chance with Web3. And that's what really motivates me. So we can really, again, try to take control of our own digital identity, of our own digital actions, not only in the gaming sector, but also a bit wider. And we can really say no to the big corporates and really say no to the unbridled, uncapped capitalism, and make it the world a bit more fair. And I'm not against profit, and I'm not against people making money. Of course not, because we're also in this for trying to make a decent amount of money. But at some point, you have enough money, right? And you don't need to earn more and more, billions and billions, and not paying back to the community or to your customers. So I truly believe that this is a unique opportunity to fix this, and Web3 gives us the means, and also draws a lot of attention. So we really should grasp the opportunity, we all as owners and you as educators, that we have a say and we have power, but we should learn to use it. So that's what really drives me and what really motivates me. I'm a very avid gamer, and I love when Jayvee spoke about Guild Wars, because that's really my first, and he's laughing now, really my first MMO. I didn't start with WoW, but I started with Guild Wars, with the beta weekends, and oh my gosh, it was amazing, the feeling of discovery and unique. And so when these two things came together, like trying to make blockchain technology accessible and, you know, try to make the world a bit fairer, and combined with gaming, I was like, okay, this is something I cannot miss. I should jump aboard and take part in this project. And the two founders, Frank and Hans, they are Dutch guys. I'm also a Dutch guy. I look Asian, but I am Dutch. I know them from previous projects. We did some projects in the blockchain, smart contracts for other projects. And when they said to me, okay, we're going to build a game on the blockchain, and they explained everything to me, I was like, okay, this is really something I need to be in. So what is Cryptopia? Cryptopia is a mix of civilization-style games and tycoon-style games. So it's about, you know, exploring the world, extracting resources, setting up supply chains, setting up businesses. What makes us unique is that we are free to play and earn. So you don't need to have an NFT, or you don't need to hold an amount of tokens in order to start earning. And what makes us unique, well, a little bit less these days, but in our game, we integrated a multi-signature wallet into our game. So if you want to play our game, you don't need to have a wallet. You don't need to have crypto. You can just download the game, start playing, and start earning. We have a sustainable economy because we really want to have a fair system. So all the gamers, if you're free or whether you're a premium player, so to say, like you purchase items, they both need each other. So if the one progresses, the other one will also progress. So they really need each other. And probably we got to speak to it later in this podcast. But it's really a player-to-player economy, and also players generate quests for other players. So if you are an owner of an NFT or an item and you need the other players, you start a quest and another player can help you, and you pay that other player your token. So it's really the players that help each other and generate content. Yeah, let's keep it at that.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Sangho, no, for the introduction about Cryptopia, and also thank you, Jayvee, for introducing us again to Anito Legends. Now I just have one quick follow-up to Sangho. No, so the name of your game is Cryptopia, and in the Philippines there was just that I think in 2017, I think, or 2018, the name of your game actually is the same back then. So I'm not sure if you are. I'm sure you are aware of that. So there was a crypto exchange named Cryptopia back then. And earlier today in the BitPinas Facebook page, there was some there was some needed clarifications over that. So can you on the record now, Sangho, can you please clarify if there's any relation to the crypto exchange?
Yes, of course. Yes, very good that you mentioned it. Yes, indeed, I saw it indeed in the communications channels. So we are absolutely not related to the crypto exchange. In fact, we all we all lost money in there. So I also was a trader on the Cryptopia exchange. But we saw the domain name available. So the domain name was for sale. So we really had a tough discussion about, okay, should we grab it or not? Because we knew, of course, it was a controversial name and there was a lot of bad publicity around the name Cryptopia. But still we decided to do it. One, because the name is really brilliant, like crypto and utopia. And two, we thought it's better to, change a negative opinion than to try to create buzz from the start. And it's a risky decision, I think, but it played out very well. Mainly because a lot of new entrants are not familiar at all with the name Cryptopia. So it's only when people say it, then I know, okay, you are in crypto for at least 6-7 years. And then we can talk to them. But on our website, we also have a short FAQ, and we have a link to the law firm handling the lawsuits against Cryptopia New Zealand. So if you are still looking for some compensation, or you want to know what happened, go to our site, look up the link, and then you will be forwarded to the law firm handling the whole case against Cryptopia. So, but we are not related at all.
All right. So that actually reveals the age of BitPinas the BitPinas attendees. We've
Yes,
been
exactly.
quite
Yeah,
some
yeah,
time here
yeah.
in the crypto space, no. So yeah, thank you so much for the introductions, both of you. So for those who grew up as a gamer myself, there are categories, right? So course there are console games, there are mobile games, and that is related to the hardware. And there are also genres like MMORPG, RPG, tactics, whatever. Now we have Web3 gaming, and most of the time we try to differentiate it. So I would like to ask both of you, what is the difference, or should there be any difference? So, but mainly, what is the difference between Web3 gaming? How does it differ from traditional gaming, or people now call it Web2 gaming? So I don't even remember that we call it Web2 gaming back then. You know? So, but how does Web3 gaming differs from Web2? Anyone? No. So maybe let's start with JB.
Okay. Well, the distinction of when you say something is a Web3 game, obviously it involves some form of blockchain technology, right? Whether it is in the form of tokens or in the form of NFTs, no? So I think that is really the underlying difference. So for instance, there are actually a lot of Web 2 games that allow you to collect, right? To collect assets, but they are confined to that game, right? An example of this is, of course, all the Pokemon games, because every time you release a new Pokemon game, you have to go and collect and collect and collect. So every game is like that, and that is actually, it's not a bad thing. It's not a it just that's how it is, and people enjoy that. I think when you say a game is Web3, aside from the tokens and aside from the NFTs, it's really about this is my opinion, and this is something that people don't really talk much about because it's so hard to do. Once you have the interoperability of NFTs because you're on, well, similar chains, I think that adds a different sort of value to your game because you now incorporate yourself with other products of culture, right? So whether they are PFP projects or other games, or other art projects, for instance, that really opens the door to possibilities. It also opens the door of you abandoning your key message, right? Because I mean, like for instance, back in the day of social media, brands were so concerned because they did not want to have their Facebook page on Facebook. That was actually a legitimate concern back in the day. I remember in 2009 or 2010, it was so hard to convince a brand to go on Facebook because of the fear of losing the key message, right? It's sort of similar now in Web3 because in a way you're sort of surrendering your brand to the community, and now not only do they have an opinion that they want to share about your brand, they also may have some stake in it, whether it be NFTs or tokens, right? So it's there is that fear, but also I think that opens up a lot of avenues for a game developer, right? One of the things I mean, Anito Legends has been out officially for more than a year, about a year and 2 months. So we have about that much data out of beta. So we're already on retail, we're already on live, but not yet on the App Store and Play Store. That's coming as soon as when we launch our free to play model. So one thing we really did notice that even in the bear market, we're seeing day 30 retentions of about 80 to 90%. It depends on the month. It depends on um, what new features we have. But an 80% retention rate post hype, post Axie hype is still very high. And according to Eric, James, and Jed, my co-founders who've been building games since the first iPhone, well, Eric even longer. He's been building games since the Palm OS and Palm Pilot. Sorry, the Palm Pilot and the Pocket PC, which is like back in 2006. Um, they would tell me that a D30 retention of that high in the high 80s, low 90s, that's almost impossible, right? And consistently like that, even if let's say there are no new features, And that has to do a lot with, well, the fact that they own tokens, the fact that they can cash out their tokens and convert them into something else or put them back to the game. So I think that for me, quantitatively, is one of the big differences based on our data. But essentially, a game is a game. It still has to be fun. It still has to be enjoyable because that's what's gonna keep people coming in. I think um, based on our stats, an average Anito Legends player logs in roughly 12 times a day, and that is by design. We are I would like to call ourselves experts in the casual game space because this is game number 22. We have experience in prototyping games for other companies, so we know certain hooks and gameplay loops that have been working. We know what works and what doesn't. So we've actually engineered that 12 times login per day for players, right? And we don't really want we don't really look at the player as someone who is right now in front of the computer, fully engaged 100%. Our players are playing Axie Infinity, and on the side, it's our game. They're playing Call of Duty, and on the side, it's their Oppo, Xiaomi phone, and they're playing our game. Because we're an auto battler, right? You spend 5 minutes plotting out your strategy and then you see what happens. If you win the battle, great. If you lose, you go back and see why you lost and then you have to plan it all over again. So it's similar to games like auto chess and a lot of gacha games from South Korea and Japan. So that we feel is the kind of player we get. We bursts and spurts of 5 to 10 minute playthroughs across different parts of the day. Whether you're waiting for your ride, you're waiting for your dental appointment, you're in the bathroom. So that's what we're looking at. So games are still games no matter what, but the retention rates are crazy, and I think this is something that brands can actually capitalize on down the line when you talk of monetization and sponsored content or advertising. The retention rates are going to keep brands interested here compared to web 2. So yeah.
All right. Thank you, JB. I think I think you've summarized everything on what Web3 is and how it differs from, But Sangho, would you like to add anything to that, or we can move on to the next question at this point?
I'd like to add something to that. Absolutely. So, and I absolutely agree with Jayvee about everything he said. So it's really about ownership. Well, he didn't mention ownership, but it's really about ownership, right? And we believe in a fair exchange of value. So if you as a player put time and money in a game, you should get something in return, right? And it can be fun, of course. And with traditional games, it is only fun or some sense of achievement. But that's it, right? And everything above it, like the monetary aspects, are still with the game publisher or the one who owns the game. So you as a player, maybe hopefully you get something back in terms of nice content in the future. Probably not for free because you have to pay for an expansion, right? But sometimes you have a patch with some nice quests and etc. With Web3, it's totally different, I hope, and that's something we should build into the future, of course. And that is that you get more value in exchange for your time and your effort and your money if you choose to spend money in a game. That's what I believe in, and that's what we believe in. Also, as Jayvee said, brands are absolutely interested in going into the new type of games. But I believe it's very important that the community and the gamers are also benefiting from this. So the money that the brands pay to advertise or to put a sponsored item or sponsored quest in a game, by the way, we will do it as well. But that money should go to the players and not only to the game company. And I think that's the biggest distinction between, again, Web 2 and Web 3. It's about doing it together, sharing the revenue or the profit in a fair way, as opposed to not sharing it at all. So I think that's the main distinction for me between Web 2 and Web 3. And of course, Web 3 games are not there yet. I mean, at the same scale of playability, graphics, etc., etc. So there's a big difference still, and well, we hope to make a difference, of course, but we have a long way to go still. So there's a big distinction between these two, and we are new. So people can say, okay, this is not going to work, but they said it as well from when the mobile phone was introduced or the internet was there. There were a lot of people saying, I don't see any value of it, and look where we are now. So I think also in our case, we are really a blockchain game, and people have troubles, trying to form an opinion because they can only form an opinion based on what they know, and this is something completely new. So that's also a distinction in my opinion.
Thank you, Sangho, and thank you, Jayvee. No, and I agree with everything that you have said. And now that with Web3, we know that, for example, the trading, right? Trading in guilds or trading between in MMORPGs. These are things that already is available in the past, right? In any other traditional game. Although there is a bit of a gray area, right? But with Web3 games, these are actually baked within. Like you are actually allowed to do that. And I believe that is also one of the biggest difference here. And as what Sam has mentioned, this is something that is fair compensation also to the players that are playing. So one of the things that the two of you mentioned is the importance of community. And as JB mentioned, of course, if brands are going to partner with Web3 games, I believe one of the key things here is because there is a very engaged community within the Web3 game itself that is all that is, how do I say it? That they are all working together to actually make sure that this game is going to go or is going to improve, because they also have a stake in the game, right? Maybe in terms of their NFTs or in terms of their tokens or anything. So but Sangho, if I remember correctly, your game is not yet out, no? But one of the important, as mentioned, the community, as JB mentioned, about surrendering your game to the community. So for a game that is not yet out, for a Web3 game that is not yet out in this current market climate that we have, how important it is, the community itself for Cryptopia.
Oh, extremely important, because without it we are nowhere. So it's absolutely very it's crucial to us also to grow, because it's very difficult. Well, it's not difficult if you have enough money, right? But we're in a bear market, and money, we have to be very wise on how to spend money. But also the problem with spending a lot of money, throwing money, away in order to get people to your project, you don't attract the right type of people. You only attract people that are there for the monetary aspects, like they get a drop or they get a reward to go to our site or to follow us on Twitter. But the moment after they are gone, right? So they are not really the ones we need in our project. So we do it from the ground up. We partner a lot with other projects, do a lot of AMAs, Twitter Spaces, co-marketing, co-PR events, and by explaining and telling time and time again what our game is, what we plan to do, how our community works. We grow our community not as fast as you would hope, but surely there's a strong enough growth. That's what we see now. And in addition, and I'm very proud on it, is that we have a really strong community. So people are really seeing that we do stuff, or the community does stuff. They organize events. We have a singing contest. We have quizzes, game nights. So all these things are amazing, and that draws a lot of other people into our community, and they say, hey, wow, there's some stuff going on there. It's amazing. So for us, it's very important to have that growth and to have that bustling activity. And on the other hand, it's very important to get feedback from our community on what we build and on what our plans are, because we want a game that, of course, is likable and that people want to play. So if our community says, hey, what you're now going to do, or your ideas, not sure if we like it, we listen very carefully to that, because that's the feedback we need to improve our game. So community is the heart of our project, of course.
All right, thank you, Sangho. No, and I totally agree with everything that you have said about community. And now going to JB, also on the topic of community, and I think also of the game itself, no, Anito Legends. And I'm sure you are aware, JB, of the connotation, diba? When it comes to Filipino projects, Filipino game projects, I'm sure you're very aware of that. And what I noticed is that, I mean, I guess not just in the Philippines, no, but some games, for example, they will launch globally. No? So there is no like they are like like there are games itself, there is no shall I say, there's no any connotation that this particular game is, for example, made in the Philippines or made in Japan, or maybe in Japan, but maybe made in Australia or Vietnam. But what is the per JB, per Anito Legends, what is the motivation to make sure that this game that you are launching globally, or launching in the Philippines, launching globally, still have this Filipino roots that is tightly embedded with the brand, with the game itself?
Um, I think the best place to grow roots is really where you're from, right? Um, and one thing that I've learned is regarding your question about, oh, Filipino projects are known for rug pulls. Well, yeah. What about Sam Backman-Fried? Is he Pinoy, right? Or what about Dokon? Is he Filipino? I think I think the it's a bit of the perception when we're here, we think about that, but when you're in another country, they also mention their own local versions, right, of the wall of shame. As a builder, I think you really just have to focus on how you're going to improve the current state of society. And as a Filipino, it's really all about nation building. When we were thinking about the concept of Anito Legends, we were thinking maybe, should it be about uh, Greek gods, the Tolkien elves, um, science fiction, zombies, all of these different tropes from other countries. But then, because this was a pandemic project, we saw things like Budgetan Stresse that made it to Netflix, right? That released during the pandemic. And Arnold Are has his comic series, right? Um, and there's so many other great comic book artists from the Philippines who are now, it's this is the time for us to reclaim our culture, right? And what's very interesting is that and this comes from the words of Yvette Tan, who is our lead writer, who and she helped us write the lore for the Nito Legends. And she says that the thing with Philippine folklore is that it's passed down by word of mouth. It's not written down. So these are the stories that are being told during bedtime, passed on through traditional word of mouth. So in other words, it's like a UNESCO invisible culture that we all inherit. So maybe it's about time to write it down, right? This is the time that it's going to be written down. We see it a lot. We see it a lot now in comic books, sometimes TV shows, but we don't see it in games, right? And as game developers, how do we contribute to this whole diaspora of culture, right? We contribute by telling the story, right? And having our own interpretation to it, right? And in our case, our interpretation is it's very cute, right? It's very brand safe, it's very friendly because we have kids who play this game also. And we want to make it safe for brands because Philippine culture, it's traditionally it's what the parents would tell the kids to so that they don't disobey them, right? So it's always about getting a baby eaten by this half man half
No.
horse. It's always like that, right? So we wanted to make it very brand safe. So if you look at the Anitos, they're all very cute. And so yeah, I think that that is my response when we're asked about why why is the focus on Philippine culture? Why are we not targeting, let's say, a broader audience? Well, here's the thing. We're already in the Philippines. We're top five when it comes to all of these new emerging technologies. In the 90s, we were the SMS capital of the world. In fact, that was a time when data was still very expensive, right? And then in the late 2000s, we became the social media capital of the world. Highest Facebook usage, despite the internet speeds being very expensive and very slow. And now guess what? We're also in that again in this top area for this new thing called GameFi, NFTs, right? So it's very interesting that we always seem to be in the top when it comes to things like community and socialization, right? So we're already here. Why not build here? And to be honest, when we launched our beta, um, wow, almost 2 years, yeah, a year and a half ago, we had about 1,600 testers. The ones who really remained after that were the Filipinos, and that wasn't by design. They just stayed, and we're riding off the goodwill of my co-founders. Eric, for example, he's been known as one of the very first indie game developers in the country. So his name comes out quite often when it comes to like the history of game dev in the Philippines. So we're in a good place. And although, yes, we do have some players from around the world, it's actually quite um, we always have to apologize to them sometimes when we start talking in Filipino, but they say, no, it's okay, it's okay, it's great. And then it's very nice that our community starts to translate for them. So yeah, so we do have that community spirit. The community pillars in our Discord server. We actually named some of the weapons after them. We actually launched a special NFT character, which is like a monkey, and then we give that away to people who top the leaderboards and also to people who contribute a lot to the community. So we really try our best to reward them. No, I think the indie spirit in us works really well because we are very very active in our Discord channel. Um, so we actually do talk to our players when it comes to feedback. Like, does it work in this phone? What kind of error do you see? So we're testing and testing and testing a lot. In the span of 1 year, we have more than 20 updates already to the game. So a lot of these are also bug fixes. So yes, so we're very committed to the community. If not for them, the game wouldn't be what it is now, right? So yeah, I hope I answer. I think I'm talking too much, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you JB and Sangho for those answers, no. And going back kasi about the Philippines and many Web2 games, I believe many mobile games are actually launching their beta tests or their beta here in the country. And I think that is also one of the reasons why Web3 games have actually become popular here in our country, and probably also the reason why Cryptopia has a very active community here in the Philippines as well as
Absolutely. Yeah.
mm, as well as JB's Anito Legends, no? So before we go after the break, after the trivia question right now, we are going to discuss about launching Web3 games, no? So but before we proceed to the trivia, I would we are just going to bring down uh Sangho and JB. Hold on. Ayan. So before we proceed to the trivia, I would like to thank again the sponsor for tonight's prizes, which is Features Labs, which helps businesses with their digital needs. So we play this video for now and then we proceed to the trivia. Okay, I'm not sure but walang sound yun. But Features Labs, the sponsor for tonight's show, you are going to win 50,000 Satoshis. Two winners for this particular segment, no? You have to be following the Facebook page of BitPinas and also must have a sharer badge. All right? So if you can limited sa friends lang to, it must be shared publicly. All right? So I hope everyone is ready for the trivia. The first trivia for tonight is this was mentioned by Jayvee earlier, no? So Anito Legends was first launched in what blockchain? So Jayvee mentioned earlier na Anito Legends actually is now in the Polygon blockchain, no? At this very moment, they are 95% on the Polygon blockchain. But what blockchain was it been before, no? So Anito Legends was first launched in what blockchain? So let's see. Yes. So Anito Legends was first launched in what blockchain? That is the first question. And now for our second question. Second question na guys, name a Web3 game that is not Axie Infinity. So napakadali, no? Name a Web3 game that is not Axie Infinity. Kasi baka yun ang sabihin niya eh. So we have our guest here, Sangho, which is also a CEO of one of the upcoming Web3 games. Name a Web3 game that is not Axie Infinity. So you must be following the Facebook page of BitPinas and must have the sharer badge. All right. So name a Web3 game that is not Axie Infinity. So that's it for this trivia Q&A segment. We will have another segment later, but now, before we go back to Sangho and JB, I just want to give a shout out to of all of our watchers right now. Keith, Jorbina, Marlon, Saluntao, Jade, Barilazo, Michelle Pasqua, Ivax Asuelo, Ismael, Jerusalem, Joshua Bolivar, Leia Calem Battler, thank you for being here. Jade Barry. So, ayun. So, maraming salamat. And now we go back to our segment. The next segment will be about launching Web3 games. No? So, let's bring up JB and Sangho on stage. Ayun. So, medyo may mga we have some technical difficulties kanina, no? But let's go. So, we are now going to talk about launching Web3 games. So, I know JB, you have launched your game now, and Sangho, you are going to launch your Web3 game in the coming months, I believe. This is going to be our next topic for this particular segment. No? So, how to launch Web3 games. Now, an interesting study from the Blockchain Game Alliance. The study was made last year, no, where they surveyed gaming industry professionals, and the results revealed that the digital asset ownership is still actually the blockchain game's key benefit. But the study also reveals that the industry professionals think that digital ownership is not currently utilized effectively. So I think you've also answered that particular survey, but why do you think digital asset ownership is not being utilized effectively? So with JB, maybe we can go with how Anito Legends is utilizing it. So let's go with the question with Sangho. So digital asset ownership is still blockchain's game benefit, but it is currently not utilized effectively. So Sangho, why do you think that is, and do you have any recommendations on that, and what is Cryptopia going to do about that?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And for one, digital ownership, to use it to the full extent, of course, means that you can do whatever you want with that item. So let's say I have a ship. Let's take as an example, Cryptopia, we have a ship, and I'm the owner, and I can do whatever I want with it. But the only thing I can do with it is, of course, use it in the game or set it to another player. And that's about it, what I can do at this stage. So in order to fully benefit from digital ownership, you also need to be able to take it with you. And I think Jayvee already mentioned the interoperability aspect. Then you would fully utilize it. Then you can say, okay, I have this item and I can choose where to use it. I can choose hundreds of games or maybe 20 games. And I can take it with me and can use it in that other game, or I can set it to times 20 community, because other communities of other games can also use it. And I think I haven't read the report, so I'm not really sure what they're hinting at, but this is what comes to my mind, why many games do not use it. Another thing is many games are not using blockchain technology to the full extent, so they use it only to sell NFTs and to get a lot of money, and then create some sort of game in which you can use it. With Cryptopia, we do it the other way around. So we only sell NFTs, like early access NFTs, frontier ships, because people asked us to do so, because we didn't plan on it. We are Dutch, and Dutch people always want to build first and then tell the people that it's really good or really beautiful and then they can buy it instead of the other way around. So we're not saying that we're going to make something great and with many features and you have to get in now. We'll never say that to people. We want to build, we want to be confident that we can build it, that it works, and then we can go to market. So when the people came to us like, okay, this is what you're going to do, this is brilliant, and can we get in? And we said, no, because it's not finished, you cannot get in. And then people said, okay, well, this is stupid. If there's so many people believing in what you are building, you should allow them to get in. So that's what we did. But basically what we do is really built on chain, and that's a choice by design. So we believe that blockchain technology allows for a lot of gameplay, and we believe that is really utilizing the full ownership of digital items. So not only having some items on chain and the rest of the game still on centralized servers or on Amazon or whatever hosting. That can work, of course, but it's more like Web 2.5, and we believe in real Web 3.0, and that is it's a bit frightening, of course, because it's handing over the control to your community. It's what Jayvee said, like in the dawn of social media, that brands were really afraid to go on social media, and that's because you hand over the control, because you can say that you're a brand and that looks like red, but if the community says no, it looks like green, then who's right? So the community is right, because they are the ones that decide what you are going to be. And that's the same with our game, of course. We hand over the reins to them, of course, after consultation and building together. So we will launch our open beta probably beginning next year, maybe this year, but most likely probably beginning next year. And then we're going to build together with the community with a very lengthy open beta. We're going to build the full game on the testnet, having iterations, having the feedback, collecting the feedback from the players. And only when we are absolutely sure that this is what they want to play and we are happy with our vision and our ID, if these two match, then we can say, okay, now we're going to launch on mainnet. And then the game is there and it will be there forever, because we are running not on central servers, so we are on chain and on a node network, so no one can take it down. So once we run forever, as long as they're users. So I think, but I'm not sure if that was in the report. I bet it wasn't, but that is for us really fully utilizing digital ownership, making your players own the game, and also have a stake in it and have a say in the decision and the future direction of a game. That's what we believe in, and that's what we also think other games should do.
All right, Sangho, and I look forward to your game, and I can send to you the report in our email
Yes,
later
thanks. Yeah.
after this call. So now we move to Jayvee, So digital asset ownership in Anito Legends, how it is being utilized, and do you think it is being utilized effectively right now?
So we're a commentary of the post Axie Infinity saga, right? So there is a term that I like to throw around, and this is called the digital sachet model. I've mentioned this a lot in a lot of AMAs and other talks like this. And really, the a digital sachet model is a behavior that you want exhibited, right? And this is actually something, as I said, that happens as a result of, well, the bear market. And what it means is, if you look into our games marketplace, you can see Anitos being sold for as low as like 50 pesos. There was a time it went as low as 30. On average, it's about 100 pesos. I'm talking about the equivalent in terms of pesos, right? So that's about $1 to $3. So for the price of a Happy Meal, you can already get a team of Anitos. So I want to compare, and I want to compare that with um, the Filipino concept of buying via sachet. Like you buy the shampoo in the sachet, and then you use it, you throw it away. So I believe in that concept for Anito Legends, because the utility derived from the NFTs happen once you burn them. So you have different kinds of people, different kinds of players. Some of them are more competitive in PvP. Some of them like to just collect. But you have what we call the blacksmiths, who they really just buy NFTs to burn them, And when you burn an Anito NFT, you collect the soul, right? In fact, you can there's like a eulogy. You can type why you're sending them away to the grave, and then you have this nice eulogy which you can like screenshot and post on Twitter. Um, you get souls from a burned Anito, and those souls can be used to craft an NFT weapon, which is our new end game, no? The new end game meta. So in other words, it's like me taking on the spirits of my ancestors into my weapon and taking on more challenging dungeons. So that way, it kind of dissuades people to speculate too much and to hold the Anitos for too long because they always want to be burning and burning and burning, right? So that is the sachet model that I'm talking about. It's affordable, and it's also, well, for lack of a better term, disposable because there's so much utility when you burn it. That's the one side of it. The other side is, of course, our goal of interoperability. This is actually why we moved to Matic, to Polygon. In the Philippines, we actually, know what, Michael, people have been asking us, why not Solana? Why not Ronin, right? The fact of the matter is, we've been getting a lot of inquiries and requests for partnerships. And many of them are actually on Polygon, right? Many of these are actually PFP projects that we want to look at. I won't say them what these projects are now, but you can speculate. So again, this goes back to me telling you that we're in the Philippines, we're building here. So this is 90%, 95% of our player base. So our goal is interoperability. Our goal is to incorporate other projects that we feel share the same vision as ours. And the first step is to go on Polygon, which, by the way, we're actually quite done. So we're now at 99.9%. So a new player can now create an account on the website.
Okay,
So everything
congratulations.
is
Congratulations. Yeah.
this is like this was an ordeal, my gosh. We So you can now create an account. New players can create an account. The game has always been running, but new players couldn't join for the past 2-3 days. But anyway, going back, it's those two things. It's being able to do what you want with your NFT. So people are selling them to people who want to burn them, and they exchange them with collectible with Anitos that look alike. They want to collect the pink series of Anitos. They want to collect all Tikbalans, all Shokoys, all Chanaks, all Duendes. It's really up to them. Some of them buy specific kinds because they want to breed certain types of combinations. So I mean, it's that is the freedom of choice that we want to give, and it's actually quite fun to watch them post screenshots of their teams. So that's one. And the second, of course, is that's the interoperability, and that's why we moved to Polygon. So
Cool.
that's kind of like an alpha because we don't really talk about this. We have plans of partnering up with all of these other projects. Who knows? There's Project XYZ PFP project inside our game. So that's something we want to explore.
Well, we are
All
on
right.
Polygon too, so maybe we can
Sangho,
explore that
let's do
as well.
something.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
actually, we were talking with Sky Mavis, about integrating the Axies in our game. So we were pretty far with the talks, and we were, with interoperability. The problem is that the games differ, right? So the stats from an Axie are not compatible with our stats. What we thought about, sort of mixing them or transforming them, so the attack power goes into the luck stat in our game, right? So you can port it, you can make it compatible. But then Sky Mavis pulled the plug. They said, no, it's not our priority anymore. So, but we were pretty far. We had exactly this vision, like, it would be really awesome if people can bring their Axie to our game and walk around and the Axie following them, or use it in the pet battles in our game. So, yeah, but we are on Polygon, and
We
but
should talk
we're
after this. Like,
yeah,
look at
we're
the comments,
multi-chain, by the
everyone.
way.
And
So,
I know a lot of the Cryptopia moderators. Like, they're really great people. I'm so happy you have them. They say many good things. And I love games like Civ and Alpha Centauri. I mean, I grew up
yeah,
with
well,
those.
then
So
it's
I'm
really
I'm I'm
cool.
definitely gonna play.
And you like Guild
Who
Wars, so
knows?
yeah, that's a match.
All right. No? So the BitPinas webcast is the place where Anito Legends and Cryptopia will begin their collaboration and so connecting people. No? And a lot of alphas on that, no? So I hope we can write about that on our website. But yeah, thank you so much on those particular things about the survey report that I mentioned, no, about digital asset ownership. Now, also in that particular report, no, in player onboarding, they say is still remains a challenge, of course, but play to earn, as the report said, is no longer seen as the narrative that will drive adoption to blockchain gaming, but rather compelling gameplay. So, what are your thoughts on that particular stat or quote? Play to earn is no longer seen as the narrative that will drive adoption to blockchain gaming, but rather compelling gameplay. And what could drive the adoption of blockchain gaming going forward? So maybe we can start now with Sangho.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because you can look at it at various ways. I mean, if play to earn is not really the driving force, so what is then the driving force for people to come over? And then indeed you only have the compelling gameplay. I believe compelling gameplay should be a hygiene factor, so it should be there anyway, regardless of if it's Web3 or 4 or 5 in the future. You have to have a game that is fun and that, drives people or people want to return to and log in every day or start it up every day because it does something for them. In our case, it's slightly different because we are in a game in which you simulate an economy, like Civilization or a tycoon game. Only this time, all the things you do in the game is worth real money because of the crypto aspects or because of the blockchain aspect. So we are a bit strange. Well, as I said before, people try to compare us with something that is not there yet. So we are really, really new. But for us, how we can drive the people or increase the likeliness that people try our game is by lowering the barriers to enter the game, and for that we have our own multi-signature wallet, so people don't have to have crypto or don't have to have a wallet and don't have to have crypto in order to start playing. I think that's a really big one, especially for people from outside of the crypto sector, because otherwise they need to go to an exchange and do KYC, acquire crypto, then send the crypto to that game or connect a wallet, bridge it, wrap it. Well, I'm in crypto for a long period, and even I lost some crypto along the way because I didn't understand where it went or how I should wrap it or how I should bridge it. So I can imagine people from outside the crypto sector are really afraid to even try it. So lower the barrier, just download the game, have a wallet and play. And the second one is, of course, if you ask people to pay upfront, I believe it's not going to work. People are not inclined to try your game if they need to spend money on it. And also, I think it's a bad message to the people like, okay, I have a game and it's really brilliant, but you first have to pay me, then you can try it. It's weird. If you are so convinced you build something great, you should allow people to play it or try it for free because you trust in your product, right? So you trust that along the way, people will stick, people maybe do a purchase, make a purchase in your game in that sequence. So I believe we can drive it in that way. And the third one is we can drive it by showing that you can build a sustainable economy in a blockchain game. And that's also, many people don't understand how it can work because they say, oh, if you have 1 million players and they earn $1 a day, you're going to lose $1 million every day. So how can you be sustainable? That's what they say, right? And then they forget that it's not going to work like that. So it's not that people all extracting the value. People will reinvest what they earn because they want to improve their character or their building or their ship or their weapon because it's a game. So I think if we can prove that, that will also build a case and build proof for people like, hey, Web3 gaming, where you can earn or where your items are worth real money, that can work. I believe that we are on the right track to do so. But of course, you have to have a game that is, has core loops that are addicting to people or at least appealing to people, so they want to keep playing. If you don't have that, then you're not gonna make it. So, but also a traditional game is not gonna make it. So those are my 2 cents.
All right. Thank you so much, Sangho. And JB, if you don't mind, no, I would like to go now to at least our last question because I know we are a bit pressed for time. Because BitPinas is read by not just crypto investors but also play to earn gamers and also builders who are building locally and even internationally. I just want the two of you your advice to aspiring developers, no? So what steps should aspiring developers consider when if they want to enter building into Web3 games? So what steps should aspiring developers consider when entering Web3 gaming development? So let us start with JB.
Wow, we have a lot of oh my gosh, where do I start? Here, let me give you like maybe two to three things. This is advice that comes from Eric, our COO, because he also is a startup mentor and well, a game dev for about 20 years. And he really says that it's really better to release a solid game to 10 players than a sloppy one to 1,000 players. Because those 10 people will give you the 5-star App Store reviews, right? And they're going to be the ones who are going to be talking about this game. You don't want 1,000 one-star reviews, right? So when you launch on the App Store, when that time comes, if you're the type of game where, oh, I have in this first month we have 5,000 new players, but when you check their stats, their day one is zero,
Mm.
right? 0%. So that means they only tried it once, then they stopped. That's right. You need to get your 10 super fans because that's how we started Anito Legends. We only had like our DAU was like 20, right? And now we're like two to 5,000 logins daily logins because the word really helps spread, right? And number two, I think would be um mass adoption. Please launch on multiple platforms, especially on mobile. And you need to make sure that your game, well, I'm talking about the hyper casual space, okay? The casual space. Not I'm not talking about a Call of Duty type of game, okay? Your game needs to be playable on a $100 smartphone. Your Oppo, your Xiaomi that costs 5 to 7,000 pesos. Of course, it's going to be a big headache for you as a developer because you're going to have to troubleshoot like crazy, not just the game, but even the blockchain elements. And there's not a lot of documentation these days, to be honest, because it's still very new. So, high-end triple A quality graphics, it's really nothing if you can't play it on a $100 phone. So if you really want to get the masses to play, it should be playable on it has to be playable on well many platforms. We launched Anito Legends on day one on 4 platforms: PC, Mac, iOS, Android. Right? So we really wanted to make sure that we had data on all of these platforms. Desktop is our longest playtime, right? Android is really more varied. It's like 14 minutes average. But desktop, well, it's hours because it's just there. So that way we get to really focus on the data, which is my third point. Always measure the engagement and retention. And if you can't retain your players for at least well maybe 7 days, then you have to scrap it. You look at another way of tackling. How can I get them to play more? The hyper casual space, the casual game space has so many ways to do it. Daily logins, battle pass, quests, that sort of thing. So I think that is really those three things are I leave you with those three. Those are basic advice from seasoned game dev or COO and something that we've learned along the way. And that's why we're still here, building and building and releasing new updates. Our Halloween update is coming up. Well, soon. It's 26 na pala. So we'll have that before Halloween. So we really want to make sure that there are new experiences too, so that your player retention really stays. Yeah.
All
There.
right. Thank you so much, JB, for that. No, and then Sangho, would you like to add anything to that? How or what steps should aspiring developers consider when
Yeah.
they're going to enter the Web3 gaming space?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the for me the main question will be, so why do you want to build a Web3 game? So why do you need a blockchain element in your game? And from that, well, to me, the only answer can be because I want to be decentralized 100% because I want to use the blockchain technology and the blockchain philosophy to the full extent because I want to share the revenue of my game with the community. And I think that's the main question. If you're not up to that task, then you shouldn't do it because then in the end you will waste your time and our time also and the time of the player to play your game. So you really should think about it. Do I really embrace the decentralized philosophy and thought? Can I give control to my gamers and to the community? Can I share the profits? Can I hand over the control? That's really, really important. And following from that is what are you going to do with the NFTs? So if you have NFTs in your game, what are you going to do with it? How do you plan to use them? Is it just buy and hold and sell at a higher price? That's not a game, you know. Then you're bound to fail. If you have utility, if they are upgradable, etc., etc., then you make a chance. But it starts with that first question: why do you want to be in the blockchain space anyway?
All right. Thank you so much, Sangho, and thank you so much, JP, for this wonderful time that you've shared with us here in the BitPinas webcast. And I would like to, I know that we are a bit pressed for time and we have a trivia Q&A, but we're going to do it later. But I would just like, so before the trivia Q&A, I would just like to know your final words on our topic. We can start with Sangho and final words on the topic and where can people find you, Sangho, and the Cryptopia.
Yes, yes. Well, first of all, thank you very much for tuning in and listening, and thank you, Michael, for having us. Well, my final words, maybe what I just said were a bit my final words. It's so important to embrace the philosophy and to really understand that it's all about giving back to the community and do it together with the community. So I'm very happy that we share that belief, and I feel that you also I see you nodding and agreeing to it. So I'm with like-minded people here, and that makes me really happy because it's very important. I hope that people try to research a little bit why it's important because you can be an owner of a game item, an NFT, but if the game changes the rules around that NFT, then you still can do anything with it. So think about that. You have an NFT, but if the game says you need 3 more or you cannot use it anymore, what happens then, right? So much for the ownership without full decentralization. You can find us, of course, on cryptopia.com. We have a very active community, so check my words because I told you about the events and the engagement. Well, come and visit us and find out for yourself. We are, of course, on Twitter, and I can use some followers on Twitter because I know I'm not too active on Twitter, and I should be far more active. So if you want to follow me, you can follow Cryptopia on Twitter. Thank you very much, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.
All right, thank you, Sangho, no, and I agree with everything that you have actually said. And as someone who has been here, the first time that I learned about the blockchain games, NFT games, was in 2018. There was this event called Game Fest Summit. That is for the first time that I actually met the people from Axie Infinity, for example. So I had access back then. So it has been quite some time, and this is one of those rare opportunities. This road to YGG Summit webcast series for me to get to to have this opportunity again to talk to gamers or to game developers such as yourself. So thank you
Yeah.
so much, Sangho, for
Yeah,
that. And
one
now
thing,
we
of
go
course,
to
I'm sorry, and I'm gonna be there in the Philippines, right? So if you are also attending, come to our booth. We are sponsored there, and I will be there. And come visit me, and we can have a talk or have a coffee. So I'm very looking forward to meeting the Philippines because, well, as you said, the Philippines are very active in our community. So I'm really looking forward to go to the Philippines. It's my first time, so
Nice.
it'll be great.
Yes, see you there, Sangho, and we will also be there at the YGG Web3 Games Summit. We cannot announce more of that yet, but now we go to JB. Any final words, James, on our topic? I really enjoyed this particular session with you guys. Any final words, and where can people find you, JB, and Anito Legends?
So you can find me, well, on Twitter, I'm Jayvee, Jayvee. I'm one of the very first people who joined Twitter. So my username is really just my name. Um, our website is at anitolegends.com. It's up now. It says may powered by Polygon. I'm so happy. So just clear your cache if it doesn't work. So we're really excited for that. Thank you to the community. I see several names here in the chat. Many of them are guild partners, players. thank you for really supporting this game from day one. We were really scrappy team. We were game developers that had almost zero knowledge about blockchain. And because of the help that we got from the community, very, very generous community giving advice. And also from our advisors, they really helped us navigate this route, no? And we just moved from BSC to Polygon. Not an easy task. It's like bayanihan. You know how like you lift the house to bring it to another house? That's exactly what it is. So there's still some features that aren't working, like the summoning and the burning, but everything else you can create a new account, you can play. That's all there. The marketplace is still not active, but yes, you can already create an account now. So yeah, we thank you so much for the support. Um, we have a lot in store. I'm looking forward to meeting you, Sangho, in person. We'll also be there.
Yes,
We'll have
yes,
that coffee or beer. It
yes.
depends. It's up to
Maybe
you.
maybe we can play some Guild Wars together.
Yes. All right. Okay. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Thank you so much, JB. Thank you so much, Sangho. This has been a very wonderful conversation with both of you. And now, we're just going to move you on the stage now. Ayan. And there. So we are a bit pressed for time, no? So that's why we move the final words for our guests, no? And maraming salamat sa lahat ng mga nanonood so far. We are now down to our next trivia segment. Again, 50,000 satoshis to two winners or isa sa bawat question courtesy of BitShares Labs. Remember that you must have a sharer badge. You must be following BitPinas. Kung wala kayong sharer badge, that might mean na baka medyo delayed or baka hindi kasi naka-share publicly, no? So, I hope you guys are ready. This is our third question for the night. What is the smallest unit of Bitcoin, which is also being given as price in the BitPinas webcast by BitShares Labs? Now, so what is the smallest unit of Bitcoin, which is also being given as price in this webcast by BitShares Labs? So, ulit-ulit na namin sinabi yun and nasa ating comment section. Maraming salamat sa lahat ng mga nandito pa rin sa ating nanonood, sa mga nanonood pa rin right now. Maraming salamat kay Alan, Noy, Mika Jonah, Julian Barcega, Eli Besislao, Renely Abain Sandy Mayuga, and Nem Obias, and P. Tejada. Hi P. At maraming salamat sa inyo. So our question, what is the smallest unit of Bitcoin na binibigay natin as price dito sa BitPinas webcast? Alright. So we go to our final question. What is the name? Ito na yung final question natin, guys, no? So, what is the name of the upcoming week-long event from November 18 to 25 set to bring the biggest Web3 games and game developers to the Philippines? What is the name of the week-long event this November? I'm not sure kung ano yung no? But set to bring the biggest Web3 games and game developers in the Philippines. So, ayan. So, ito yung kanina pa natin pinag-usapan, and this is part itong particular webcast natin is part of that, no? So, ayan. So, what is the name of the upcoming week-long event set to bring the biggest Web3 games and game developers here in the Philippines? All right. So, maraming salamat sa lahat ng mga nanonood ditong ating webcast sa BitPinas. So, konting key takeaways lang, no, from Sangho and Jayvee earlier, no. So, Web2 games versus Web3 games. So, sa Web3 players can truly own their in-game assets. And as per Jayvee, Web3 games show higher player retention. And even in a bear market, no, because they prioritize yung fun and engagement. And ownership rights is also very central, a central theme in Web3. And Web3 games also empowers developers, no, and players to earn on equal terms, equal terms or potentially more, favoring players. Kasi that is not something that is happening in the past, or maybe it is happening, but it is in the legal gray area. But in Web3, these are all fair game, no? For the developers and also for the players, for the community. When it comes to the community, both Sangho and Jayvee earlier emphasized the critical role of community in the success of their games or in the success of their upcoming game, no? So si Jayvee, he asked that the community is the lifeblood of Anito Legends, no? Highlighting its essential role in shaping its identity and its success. And now also for ownership, no, digital asset ownership, Jayvee and Sangho had their viewpoints revolve around empowering players and innovating in redefining the dynamics of their in-game assets. And finally, both of them also suggest lower barriers for players outside of the crypto space. So para may pre-game trials before asking for payments, and also prioritizing quality and cross-platform playability. So, maraming salamat sa ating guests for this BitPinas webcast, Sangho and Jayvee. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you to our audience who are with us to this 1 hour and 30-minute show. So, maraming salamat, and thank you again to BitShares, thank you to YGG Web3 Games Summit, thank you to Anito Legends for the Anitos sponsoring, and thank you to Sangho for joining us in this webcast. So, makita-kita tayo ulit next week for the next Road to YGG Web3 Games Summit BitPinas webcast. Maraming salamat at magandang gabi.